Hello everybody, how are you doing today? I hope you're all doing great and nobody's snowed in anywhere. We got some snow here yesterday. It snowed all day long, but it had been so warm the day before. It didn't stick to the streets, just the grass, and it was fun for the kids to get out and play in the snow. They could pack it well and make some snowballs, but there just wasn't enough of it to really do anything. We got maybe 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches in some places. So we didn't get a whole lot, but it was beautiful snow yesterday. Fluffy, white, just looked gorgeous. It was just a very peaceful, relaxing day. I made it a jammy day. So I hope you all are doing well. Today we still have snow on the ground and it's very cold outside today, but we're supposed to be back up in the 50s by the middle of the week, so it won't be too awful bad. Too awful bad. So I hope you guys are excited for this one. I think it's going to be a super easy one. You don't even need a line drawing for this one or anything. And you can pick any colors that you want for it. I've already got what we're going to be doing next Sunday live. And it will be a full packet that you can purchase on my website. I do love doing these free ones where I give you the free line drawing and all the paints I use and stuff like that, but I do need to occasionally throw in one where I have a packet that if you want to paint along, you've got to go over and grab that packet with all the information in it and paint colors and line drawing, and it's got written step-by-step instructions, written step-by-step color photos, a full color photo, and your line drawing. So you can't go wrong there. A PDF download is only $8, so you can go to lonnalamb.com and check that out. So let me show you what we're going to be doing next Sunday while we wait for more people to come in. Join us here. We're going to be doing this one. I've titled it Simplicity. This was a very, very fun one for me to do. Of course, all my paintings are fun for me to do, but this is not normally what I paint. You know, I do more decorative painting. So this one is a little more realism with this one. And there's not a whole lot of floating in this. A couple places we do some floating, but it's mostly how you load your brush and just blending colors as you paint with those colors. So I think it will be a lot of good educational stuff on this one. It's really a super easy one. You do not have to do roses if you fear doing roses, but I'll show you an easy way to do them. You can do daisies or whatever flowers that you like in any color that you like. But this is an 8x10 surface, and I think it will be a really fun one for you guys to grab the packet and paint along with me on this one, because I had a great time. Really great time painting that one. So hello Jan and Cindy and Brenda and Linda. I appreciate you guys being here so much. Let me take this one off. And of course today we're going to be doing the sparkler. This one right here. And going to be super easy. I'm not painting it on a round surface, but my original one was on round. I'm going to be painting it just on a square wood piece today. It's a 8x8 square. So thank you, Jan. I assume you're talking about the Simplicity one. So yes, that's going to be probably one of my all-time favorite designs. So, and I have classes upcoming in Art Waves. It's an online convention, so you can go to the letter C, the number 2, the letter C, events, c2cevents.com, and check out my classes there. This lady right back here in the hat, she is one of them that I will be teaching for that, and it is at the end of April, I believe. The end of April going into the 1st of May. So you'll want to go check that out and maybe sign up for my class there. It's going to be a fun one. This one had a lot, that lady back there, she had a lot of fun techniques. Just fun techniques. So I'm trying to really grow in my painting and try lots of new things and then show you guys those new things. So, all right, we still got some people coming in. Let me go ahead and put up my palette camera here. I've got some stuff laying on top of it. And so I only used 2 blues, a yellow, a black, and a white for this whole design. So I think it's going to be a pretty easy one for you guys to do. I did paint my surface white to begin with, just so I could have an undercoating there. It wouldn't take so much paint. If I'd left it this dark color, it would have taken a lot of paint to cover that up. Plus that dark would change the look of the paint. So I started it out white as if it was a white canvas. So, which is what this one was, a white canvas. Now, when I paint on my canvases, I like to apply either a coat or two, very thin coat of white chalky gesso or just white acrylic paint. I do it with a dampened 2-inch foam roller because then it gets my canvas nice and smooth. I don't have to try and force that paint down into the canvas so much, because some canvases, the paint just like wants to stand on top of it. It doesn't want to go down into the canvas. And I'm sure that's some cheaper canvases that I purchased, but you know, we can't all afford the good expensive canvases, so you do what you can to make the canvas work for you. So applying some gesso, regular gesso, chalky gesso, or white paint onto them before you begin, and lightly sanding after your 2 thin coats are dry with a damp roller. Has to be damp, but not full of water. You know why it has to be damp? I'm sure most of you who've watched mine for videos forever know that it has to be damp because it releases the paint out of the roller when you go to apply it. It doesn't suck up all that paint and hang on to it. Same thing if you're painting the walls in your house and you're using a roller. You don't ever want to start with a dry roller. You want to start with a damp roller because it's got moisture in it. So it will release the paint out of it. Plus, when you go to clean it, it cleans up so easy. I have used this exact same roller on here for 5 years. It's just starting to see a little bit of wear on it, but I've used it for 5 years because I dampen it first. It makes the paint so much easier to come out. So that is a tip right there I think is worth passing along. Hi, Angie from Kansas. Hi, Gwen. Good to have you here from Texas. I'm sure you're nice and warm in Texas. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law live in Texas, and they said it was pretty warm there yesterday when we called them. We called them while we were getting the snow. Said it was pretty warm and windy where they lived. So, yeah, they live close to Austin, and they said it was pretty windy. All right, I'm going to put myself up in the corner here so we can get going. So you can still see me. You can see what we're painting below me, and you can see my palette below that. And there we go. Put my website address on there in case any of you want to go grab that packet for next Sunday's live at lonnalamb.com. It is up on my website now. So here's what we're painting. Now this is a 10-inch round canvas from Hobby Lobby. It was this one right here. I bought it when it was 50% off, so you can see it was $8.99 the regular price. And it wasn't too bad of a canvas. I didn't particularly like how rough it is around the edges. There are some places where it's pulled nice and tight and it's nice and smooth, but the majority of it is very, very bumpy and rough. And I know that it's hard to get round things nice and smooth. But I wasn't too happy about how much of it was really, really bumpy like that. I did have to sand it before I could even paint my white paint onto it because it was a very, very textured. And it's a Master's Touch brand. So it was the first time I'd used this style of canvas. I think I've used Master's Touch before, but I generally buy my canvases at Michael's. A little bit cheaper over there, I think. But Hobby Lobby does have some good quality canvases if you prefer to shop there. But I think it turned out really good, even on this round canvas. So, Brenda says we're getting a weather warning for snow coming. Ooh, 12 inches. Wow. Okay, you just keep all that up there with you. I like snow like we got it, big fluffy beautiful white snow, and it would have been okay if it had been 3 or 4 inches, but I like for it to be gone within 2 or 3 days. So I am not a fan of a lot of snow. I just can't go out in the cold air. I get bronchitis really bad, so I'm not a fan of winter at all. All righty. So we are going to use a sponge to base coat this in. I am going to put some gloves on, just so that I don't have to stop and try and clean my hands off when I'm done. We'll be applying a couple of layers on here, so you do not have to wear gloves. If you've got a nice manicure, you might want to, but I just thought I would keep my hands as free of paint as possible. Gwen says it's in the 30s there. Oh, this morning, yeah. We were in the 20s, but the wind chill said we were in the teens. All right, so I've had my sponge sitting in water so I could get it nice and damp. So I'm going to wring out all of the water out of it. We just want it damp. And it's probably still got a lot of water in it, so I'm going to gently squeeze it into a paper towel to remove any excess moisture that's in there. We don't want a lot of moisture in our sponge. We just want it damp because it will thin our paint too much as we go to paint with it, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, that will require more work than you will need for this project. All right, I've also got a stencil here. Any circle stencil will do if you want to use one. It is not necessary to use this. I actually painted all of it with just a paintbrush, and then I came back when I got done with my effect down here and thought, well, I'll just add some bigger circles with a stencil. And that's what I did here, just some big circles, but I really like the ones with the brush that are a little bit more blurred out looking, which is more like a bokeh effect. Up here I did all of this with a paintbrush, this bokeh effect in the background. And for those of you who wonder what a bokeh effect is, if you've never done one before, it is an effect that you generally get in photography or videography. And once you know what it is, if you are watching a movie, you will see it a lot in scenes in movies. It's just where the background is blurred out. The foreground can be blurred out as well, but it's just a blurring out, and there are lots of programs for editing on photographs and things where you can create the bokeh effect in the background of a photograph to see what it's going to look like, to see if you want to add that to your photograph, which I think is a lot of fun. But you can create a bokeh effect with a circle template of some kind. This one I sell on my website, but you know, like I said, you don't have to have a circle template. Totally up to you. I will probably use one a little bit on here, but you don't have to have it. And your blurred out background doesn't necessarily have to be circles. It can just be something in the background that's blurred out. The more out of focus that you make it, the more you see the circles. So be watching for that in the next movie that you watch, because I think you'll be surprised how often you see that effect in the background. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what colors that I used on this. I'm just using my DecoArt Americana paints here. I've got my black and my white, Moon Yellow, Aqua Sky, and Open Water. Now you do not have to use the same colors that I am using. You can use any blues that you like, and a yellow. Maybe you want a brighter yellow than what I did. I use Moon Yellow because it's more a subtle yellow. I didn't want it to become the focal point, so I kept that yellow pretty light. Mixed it a little bit with white in a couple places. All right, so I've got my damp sponge. I am going to put out on my palette my white. And it'll take a minute for that to focus when I get some more color on there, because I'm using my white palette today. My Aqua Sky, my Open Water, and some black. And I'm also going to be spritzing water on the side of my palette here with my misting bottle. This is just a travel misting bottle, and I always spritz clean water on the side of my palette so that I can have clean water when I need it. My water in my basin gets dirty, so I need clean water, and right there is plenty of water for me if I need it. Okay, so let's grab our artist sponge if you're painting along, or you can paint this with a paintbrush. You can paint it with the 2-inch damp roller. We're going to blend our colors where they meet, and we'll do it a couple of times because the first time won't get it good, but you can do it with a roller. I have done it many times with the roller. So I'm going to take my white and a little bit of Aqua Sky. And really, the first time that I do this, I'm not going to be too overly concerned with how it looks. It's the second time after it's dry when I come back that I want to make sure that I've got this really, really nice color value here. So we're going to start down here with this lighter color. Okay, now I'm going to go grab some of I'm going to turn my sponge around and grab some over here so I'm not completely covering up all my light color. I'm going to grab some of that other blue, which I'm using open water, and I'm going to put that in here. And the first layer is going to look pretty bad because it is not going to cover well. We're still going to see background back there. Okay, then I'm going to turn to this side and I'm going to do the open water and some black and get that nice and dark, and we're going to put this up here. Now eventually this color will be down quite a bit farther, but we're going to start up here with it because this will be the darkest area. When I come to where my colors meet, I'm just going to lightly rub the sponge across that so I don't lift any paint, and it gives a slight blend already. Okay, I'm going to lay this down on the paint side so that it doesn't dry out while I grab my heat tool and go ahead and dry this layer. And we'll get this good and dry so we can apply a second layer. And your lights actually in the background, that is like the city lights that I put along the bottom there. They can be any colors that you want. I just love painting the bokeh effect in different scenes, like a Christmas tree. You could have it shaped, the bokeh effect shaped like it's a tree back there. Oh, so cool, so cool. All right, let's go back to our light color, which is our white and our blue, our lightest blue. Just blend those colors a little bit right there on my sponge, and we're going to add a second layer in here. Okay, now I'm going to grab my medium value, and hopefully this was dry enough that it's not going to lift any color. And we're going to put this in here. And if yours isn't dry and it's starting to lift, then you might have to do it a third time. So I switched around to my light color so I could blend it into that blue that I just put in there. Okay, now I'm going to go to my dark mix here. We don't want this to be black. We want it to be a dark blue. Okay. And we're going to start up here. And let me grab a little bit more. Maybe a little drop of water. I want to be careful grabbing water because it will just start lifting my paint. I think I'm going to have to add a little bit more black. I want to bring that down a little bit, creating that darker sky. I'm going to switch over to my medium color so I can get those to blend a little bit. This is another reason why your sponge needs to be damp, so the paint will stay wet in your sponge. Okay, so we've got a nice varied color there. It's going from the lightest all the way up to the darkest. I feel like my top part needs a little bit more dark in there. So I'm going put another little layer in there. I think the other two look good. The very, very top here, I feel like needs a little bit more. I want to be sure and dry the whole thing. That way, if I move my sponge anywhere else, it's not going to lift my wet paint. So, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them up there, and I am watching. Alright, my black and my blue here. A little bit more black. I'll make that a little bit darker. A little bit at a time. Little bit of black goes a long, long way here. Alright. Get that a little bit darker right up there. And that looks much better. Oops. Got my light color in there. Okay, I'm going to have to go back with my dark color because that is bringing that way too high up. And again, you can do this with a paintbrush. You do not have to use a sponge. Get in my dark stuff there. Get my fingerprints off. It's a little bit harder with the fingerprints with a flat piece than it is with a round piece, because with the canvas you can hold it from underneath and work that out. All right, I'm just putting a little bit more light stuff down here. All right, needs to blend right here. I can see it. Can you see it right there? My blue, that open watercolor. Put that in there. And then switch over to my darker color and blend those two right there. Just a light, soft blending. And that's going to make it look a little bit better. Okay. Alright, I'm done with this, my sponge now, so I want to make sure that the paint doesn't dry out in it. So I'm going to stick it down in my water and just let it fill up with water and let it sit there till I can go clean it. Normally, I go and clean it while my base coat is drying, and by the time I've got that cleaned, my surface is dry and ready for me to start painting. So, hi Carol. Hi Marie. Thank you, Marie. Lee Summit, Missouri. Oh, I know where that's at. Did you get much snow in Lee Summit? Alright, I'm going to move these out of the way. Take my gloves off because I'm done with them. And grab my easel so you guys can see it better and I can see it better. There we go. Okay. We are going to be using, I only used, I think I used 3 brushes on this whole design. I don't know, I can't remember what I listed on there. But you're going to need probably a small round and a detail liner. Okay, and I've got a 2 and a 10-0 liner here. And you're going to need some kind of scruffy type brush. I'll just bring out some options that I have and show you what you can use. Let's see. All right. So this one here is a low Cornell called a stippler. It's almost oval in its shape, but it's very thick right through there. Nice round, well, not round, it's more oval, but it's compact. So you could do that because that's going to give you a nice blurring out. It's going to make a bigger circle. So I did not use that one. I did use this one up in the top with the sprinkler, or sparkler. I'll probably be calling it a sprinkler the whole time. Oh, Carol, you got 3 inches. Well, that's not too bad. Not too bad. This is a 5/16 Crafter's Choice. I think Patricia Rawlinson still sells these on her website. That's where I got that. This is a Betty Bird number 10. Betty Bird you cannot find anymore, but if you have Betty Bird brushes, go for it. I have 2 of them. I'll probably use this one maybe, or this white one here, because these bristles are very, very short, very compact, so I can make little blurred out areas very, very easily with this brush. This is the one of these 2 I used on my original one. One is a Low Cornell, they do not make anymore, I don't believe, and the other one is a Dynasty Mezzaluna. You can see the brushes are very similar. This is just an 1/8 inch size. It's kind of stiff, so you can kind of scrub. Works well if you're painting on canvas, but this is what size I used on my original one to make those little bitty circles. And then that's just an extra round. And then this one is a Simply Simmons Scumbler. It's got the short, compact bristles here. Very tight, very dense. Stiff, but not overly stiff. This one I've had for a long time. I think I bought it in a set of brushes at Hobby Lobby, but I don't even know if Hobby Lobby carries Simply Simmons brushes anymore. I don't know. But I've had it for a really long time. Okay, so I am going to be using, I'm just going to grab out some brushes that I think I will use and put the others aside. You'll also need a chalk pencil of some kind to draw in your line for your sparkler later, because like I said, you don't need a pattern for this one. It is not necessary. This is a very simple project, just getting you to play around with some different techniques on here. I do need that other paper towel. Okay, so we've got the colors on here that we're going to be using except for yellow. I'll bring in the yellow here in a little bit. So hi Kay from Texas. I'm going to start with this little one, but if I feel like it's not doing what I want, I'm going to move to these 2. Don't be afraid to try different brushes. So I'm going to start with some white in my brush. Let me move over to a different area, some white, and I'm going to grab one of my blues. Let me put this blue back out. I think I might grab the darker blue. I don't remember on my original one actually what color I used. That's a lot of paint. And I'm going to work it into this brush a little more white, make it light. Now you can use glazing medium. When I do this effect with larger pieces, I do use glazing medium. And I put that in my brush first, and then a little bit of paint, work it together, and it gives you a more transparent look for your bokeh effect. I did not want transparent for these. I just wanted some lighter color. So just tap your paper towel. And so this is where you can kind of figure out where your horizon line is. Let me grab a ruler. If you need to draw a line where you want to kind of stay close to, you can do that. Grab my pencil. And I think I'll make my horizon line about there. Again, I'm on an 8x8 square. That does not look straight at all. But it shows it to be straight, so we'll go with it. And that is about 2.5 inches up from the bottom there. Okay. So I've got my paint loaded on my brush, and I'm just going to start very lightly rubbing different size little circles along my horizon line. This is like the lights in the city way in the back. So, hi Elizabeth from Tennessee. Your granddaughter loves my modern woman. Oh, the one behind me? Yeah, that's a fun one. Lots of different techniques in that one, so I think if you take that class at Art Waves C2C events, you will enjoy it a lot. So I'm just going to go along my horizon line. Now we don't have to stay strictly to that horizon line. On this one I went kind of up above it higher in a few places, and then I brought some down around down here. So don't feel like you have to be controlled by where that line is. That's just a guide to get you started. Now that you're started, you can ignore that line. So I'm going to go grab some more white and work it into my little brush here. Tap, tap, tap on my paper towel. Very, very lightly. come in here and make some little circles, some bigger circles, whatever size that you want. I think we'll add a little more blue ones in here that can overlap. They can, like I said, be different sizes. I'm going to go and try one of my other brushes and see. I think I'll try this really, really stiff one. And maybe add some of this lighter blue in there. Work it into my brush here. Now I'm going to go to my paper towel and I'm going to tap, tap, tap. Get all that heavy paint off the end of the brush. Very lightly. Light pressure to begin this technique is key. Okay? Light pressure, light pressure, light pressure. The more paint you remove out of your brush, the lighter they will be, and the more they will blend into the background. So I'm going to make a few more bigger ones in here with this brush. See, I'm starting to run out of paint over here, but I think I can get a few more in here. Okay, we're already getting that effect really, really cool. I'm going to grab some white, just white, and let it mix in with that blue. And again, we're going to create some varying sizes. Very, very easy. We're going to add some yellow ones in here. Now you can do as many or as little as you want. I will come in and do some with the stencil on top so you can see that look as well. It's a really fun look. So let's put some moon yellow out. Hi Holly, thanks for stopping in, girl. Appreciate you. Okay, so I've still got my dirty brush. I'm just going to wipe out to see if there's any paint in it. And I'll load my brush. I'm using my brushes dry. I am not washing them between colors, and I am not getting them wet at all. Now, if you've only got one brush, you have to be careful with the blue in your brush. It can turn your lights green, which is fine. You can have green lights. It's your city lights. You can be the judge of what they look like. So if you've still got a lot of blue in your brush, you might want to try and scrub, scrub, scrub onto a dry paper towel and see what you can get out of there. If you wanted, you could make this look like water, like where you put your line there. You could create a little water line, and it would look like it's reflected in the water. That'd be super cool. Lots of things you can do with this technique. That was a lot of paint right there. Lots of paint. Oh. Okay. I'm sure you guys have never dropped your paintbrush in your paint before. That's the first time I've ever done it. Like we believe that. All right, go back to my yellow here. So that one right there, I made pretty bright, but I'm not going to worry about it. We need some bright ones in here. So we can put some bright yellow ones in here. You can add a little bit of white to your yellow. Let's just do that, and we'll make some varied color yellow ones, and then we'll grab our stencil. I still had a lot of paint on my paintbrush. You can use an old, worn-out brush to do this as well. I don't want you getting caught up in it looking exactly like a circle. Because these are just blurred out shapes in the background. Okay. All right, I think that looks pretty good for those colors. I know that yellow one looks bright, but we'll take care of it in a minute. All right, so I'm going to grab my stencil here, and we're going to put some brighter lights in this grouping right here. So I had, this one is the one that I used on my original one. Like I said, that was a larger canvas, a larger surface, because this is only 8 by 8. Now, if it was a 10 by 10 square, they would probably work out just fine. They could look too big. So I'm going to start with this 1/4 inch size on this one. This stencil starts at 1/4 inch and goes up a 1/4 inch for every size, all the way up to 2 inch. So I'm going to start with this one, and if I feel like they're too small, then I'll grab this one, which is one I made specifically for a kit. So I don't have that for sale on my website. If you bought my kit, my Counting the Days kit, then you got that stencil with it. Okay, so we're going to go here. I'm going to clean my brush out that I was using, this little brush right here, and get some white. Now you can use a stencil brush. Actually, I think I'll just grab a clean one here because I want these to be brighter. I don't want that yellow paint to be mixed in with it. I can save that one when I want to add more yellow ones in of this size. So just tap it in and make some brighter circles on here. And just move all around your horizon line here. Your horizon line. You determine how many lights you want on your horizon line. Lock that in place. What color you want your lights to be. I don't want any competition with my sparkler. So I'm just tapping them in like if I had maybe a stencil brush, because they're such a small circle, and I want the paint to be nice, and I don't want to say thick because I don't want you to get so much that it oozes underneath your stencil, but I want it to be bright. Okay, I'm going to go up here on this one and put one on top of it, so that yellow one is not quite so in your face. And maybe one down here. And just move along your horizon line. And you can erase that line off of there anytime you want. If you put it in with the same kind of pencil that I put in, when you're done making your horizon line, you can just take a damp brush, and making your lights, you can just take a damp brush and remove it. You don't have to erase it. Just remove it with some water. Okay, I think I'm going to add some circle yellow ones in here in a minute. I want more through here. And just look at your project and see where you feel like you want some extra lights. Super, super easy. I hope you guys are going to try this. I hope some of you are painting along, because this is a really, really, really fun one. Hi, Rosanna. How are you, girl? Good to have you here. All right, just keep working it. More paint. This brush does not hold very much paint, and I still tap it off on my paper towel before I go here, the very tip of it. I don't want a ton of buildup of paint, okay? All right, let's see where else we need some. Let's put one over here, and then we're going to add maybe some bright yellow ones in here. I think with my yellow ones I added some white in there. With it, I added a little bit of white in with my yellow so it wouldn't be super dark. So we'll do that. We'll grab a little bit of yellow and blend it here with our white paint. Make sure I got you on camera for my palette here. Alright, then just start making some of these yellow ones that will stand on top as well. I like to overlap my circles. I don't want them to all be standing alone by themselves. Lights don't do that. You know, if you squint your eyes at lights in the distance, you will see them. They will come together. Have you ever done that with your Christmas tree lights? I have done that with my Christmas tree lights, and it's super cool. Is there a pattern for this? No, Marie, you don't need a pattern for this. This is very simple painting. I didn't make a pattern because all you need to do is draw a line and start painting some blurry circles, some little bit brighter circles, and just go from there. And it's just a straight line to paint the sparkler in, which we'll paint that in here in a minute. Get a little bit more white in my yellow. And a few more yellow ones. White and yellow mixed together. Tap, tap, tap. Oop, a little more yellow in there. Got it a little too light. Couldn't tell that one was yellow. Put one here. I think I might add a few more blurred out little lights, but see how that's looking like distant city lights there? I think it is just the coolest thing ever. Now I want to tell you, if you only have one brush to use and you want to use it throughout your whole design, the best way to clean it is with some hand sanitizer. First you want to wipe out all the paint out of your brush. Okay, and then you're going to take the hand sanitizer and work it into the brush and then wipe out the hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer will dry quickly. It's not going to be 100% clean, but it's clean enough for you to use, to continue using without it being wet in there. Let that hand sanitizer dry in there a little bit, and then you're good to go. All right, I'm going to grab a little bit more white in my brush. And actually, I'm not going to use the stencil. I want to make a couple of blurry ones in here. And we're going to move up to where our sparkler would be. Okay, that looks like a pretty good city lights down there, I think. What do you guys think? What do you think? Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you how to remove the chalk line, if you can still see it. I can still see it in a couple of places here. So I'm just going to get a damp brush. I can see it here, so I'm just going to remove it so we don't have a line that is distracting in any way. I'm going to put a circle there. That's kind of a blank area there. Kind of bugs me. All right, there we go. Okay, so for our sparkler, we want it to come at an angle. I'm going to take it across my lights here and bring it up just about halfway here into the painting. So I'm using my white chalk pencil. I'm going to start it here and bring it up to right about there. Okay, that's where our sparkler is going to be, the stick to the sparkler. Now if you want to just create an oval here so you know that's the fat part of the sparkler and this is the handle, you can do that, and that will help you paint, know where you're going to paint that. We're going to add some bokeh effect around this now. So I'm going to continue with these two brushes and start with my white. Load it, offload, and we're creating this all throughout here. Okay, I see I did a few blue ones in there, so let me add some blue in with my white. And either one of your blues will do, because this is a dark area. They'll both show up just fine. So very, very softly. I still feel like I have too much paint in my brush. very softly. We're just going to add some little blurred areas. And put them all around. Some of them closer to it will end up not seeing, but they could peek through a little bit. So don't leave a big open gap next to your sparkler. But we do want these coming out and about and around our sparkler. Okay, those were some with the blue in it. I'm going to wipe the brush off on my dry paper towel, load some white. I still got a little blue in there, but it's okay. Okay, I'm going to offload onto my paper towel, get all that excess paint out of the tip of it. I don't want tons of paint here, and then we'll go with some lighter ones. Wiped a little bit more paint off. I still feel like I have a ton of paint in this brush. And just add some lighter color in here. You don't want a ton of these. I didn't get too carried away with them. As you can see, it's just a few. Just a few. All right, let's add a few yellow ones in there. So I'm going to squeeze that paint out of my brush a little bit and grab some yellow. Work that in. And then wipe it off on my, I'm just tapping it and moving it around. That's getting all the excess that's built up on the tip and the edges off, because there's paint up inside the brush, and that's the paint that we really need. So we're going to add some yellow ones. I might add some darker blue ones in here. I feel like it needs a few darker blue ones. A little more yellow paint. Like I said, those through here we probably won't see, but it's okay to go ahead and add them in there because we'll see some of them. All right, I'm going to get that darker blue. Make sure I've got all that yellow out of my brush and grab some white. And I didn't get all the yellow out. This is where you could go to a clean brush if you have a second brush. So this blue, oh, can't see it. My canvas up here, my palette up here. This blue is a different color than that blue there, okay? Ooh, that was a lot of paint. Okay, I think that looks pretty good for our areas there. We can always come in at the end and add more around it. So I think that's a pretty good start to where we're going. And I didn't add any really bright white ones in there, but when we get done painting this, we shall see if it needs some bright white ones. So I'm going to put some hand sanitizer on my palette here. And I'm going to clean these two brushes that I used by working that hand sanitizer into the brush and then removing the paint out of it, because I may want to put some more little effects in here when I get done. Hi Verdi, how are you? Foggy in Oregon. Ooh. I don't like fog either. Fog, snow, heavy rain. I can live without all those. Okay, this brush needs some really good working in that hand sanitizer and then working that paint out. It's a little bit stiffer brush, so the paint wants to really stay in those compact bristles. But when I'm done painting my project, I will take them all to my sink and clean them up. Okay, did I use that one? I did. Let me work some paint out of that. These little ones, you have to be careful not to let the paint dry in them because they're so small, they'll get ruined pretty quickly. Alright, I didn't use any of these other brushes. Oh, didn't use that one. Okay, I'm going to use this one now. Well, actually, I'm going to use my round brush first because I want to paint in my my sparkler handle stem thing. So I'm going to grab some black and some white and make a gray color. Dark gray, medium gray, just dark enough that it shows up against the sky well. And we're just going to paint this sparkler in. I'm going to make mine a little bit darker, really dark gray. So you could add a little bit of blue into that as well if you want to bring some of that blue into it, and then just make your handle all the way down. Okay, fill that in. While it's wet, I'm going to grab a little bit of white and create a little starting of a highlight on there. We'll come back and make that more yellow here in a little bit. Now you can go to a detail liner here. I'll put a little highlight on the handle. Okay, I'll take my damp brush and I'll remove that chalk line I put on there because we don't need that on there now. Just a little damp brush. Okay, now I do need that to be dry before we start adding our next color, so let's dry that. Okay, we're going to take this brush and we're going to load it with some yellow. Let me get some fresh yellow out. I like moon yellow because it is a lighter yellow, but it's also more opaque because it has white in it. Most yellows do not have white in them, so they are more transparent. So let's remove a lot of that paint. We're going to do some dry rubbing here around this sparkler end. And it might turn, it's not actually going to be green here, but with whatever blue you choose, it might start looking a little green. But the more you put on it, the more yellow it will appear, okay? So we're just scrubbing this glow starting around our sprinkler. I'm going to grab some more yellow and tap, tap, tap. I'm not going to remove as much off of my brush now, and I'm going to make it darker here where it's coming off of the end of the sparkler. Okay, I'm going to wipe the excess paint off and then blend that out a little bit. So we've got our yellow coming out pretty far. Which this side needs to come out a little farther, I think. And then we've got our really, really bright stuff. That's right here. Starting in the center of our, where the sparkler shines. Let's add a little bit of that yellow Maybe a little white mixed in with it. A little bit of glow on here. And on the handle. Okay, we're going to continue with this brush. Get some of that yellow off, and we're going to grab some white and work that in. It's going to mix with that yellow so it won't be straight white. I do want to make sure that area right there is dry because it has a little bit heavier paint on it. So let's make sure it's dry. Okay, and then this is that white and yellow mix. We're going to tap right here in the center of this to start our bright center area. Okay. All right, at any point that you feel like it needs it, you can always go back a step. Wipe out the excess paint out of your brush. And if you need to go back to some yellow, I feel like it needs a little more yellow in there. Load up, tap off on your paper towel. We don't want tons of paint here. And we can add a little bit more out there. Okay, I'm going to clean this brush with some hand sanitizer. I don't think I'm going to need it again, but just in case when I get done my center isn't looking quite right, I'll have the capability of using it again. If I have another brush, I don't have to worry about cleaning it, just rinse it out. But if you don't, just clean it with some hand sanitizer and set it aside for later use. A couple of times through the hand sanitizer, really scrub it in there and then take it out. You can see we're removing the paint. It's getting lighter with each time that I do it. Alright, so let's grab our round brush now. I'm using a 2 round. You can use a 1 round. You can use a detail liner for this next part. It doesn't have to be you know, a round brush like I use. You use whatever brush you like the best that gives you the best control, okay? So I want to thin some of the yellow. Let's go to this yellow here because it's fresher. Let's add some water in there, maybe some white. And we'll make this inky light yellow. Now I can stay up on the tip of a round brush fairly easily to get nice thin lines. That's why I say if you do not feel comfortable, then go to a detail liner. And we're just going to start pulling some lines out from our sparkler. Make sure that we go around it, and I'm away from that circle a little bit. That one's a little thick. We don't really want them that thick. We want them to stay a little thinner. All the way around it. Okay. I'm going to add a little more white in my brush here. Still want it thinned with some water. If your brush is loaded with a ton of paint and water, wipe it off on your paper towel and then go to reload it and go to your surface. I think a little bit more white. Maybe we'll just go straight white with whatever yellow is still in our brush. We need some varying color here of our little things that are shooting off of it. So we don't want them all to be the same color. Do need a little water there. All right. Just checking for questions. I didn't see any, so I'm going to make sure I wasn't missing a question from anyone or a comment. What do you guys think? You're going to try this one? Super fun. You do want these to be thin, so if you're getting thick ones, you might want to go to a smaller brush. Like that one is crazy thick. I'm definitely going to have to find my brush and thin that one down. There's my brush. Not sure what I did with it. That's incredibly thick, so it's probably dry now. I want them thin. All right. Well, I think I'll go to my detail liner now. Actually, I want to make a few little bit longer ones here. Up through here. I need to have a little bit. Longer ones. You can have one that's shooting way over here, coming off of that sparkler. If you go look at photographs of sparklers, they are all so completely different. The way that they're kind of like snowflakes. No two seem to sparkle the same. So I'm going to take my detail liner now. This is a 10-0 script liner. And I'm going to take some of my white paint and thin it down. Grab some of this water over here. You can make some of these that I'm going to be making here yellow, or you can keep them all white. Let's see what I did here. I did both. I did yellow and white. These little things that come off of it. We're just going to pick a place and put some. It can be at the end. It cannot be at the end. Wherever you want them to be. So we'll do some in yellow. And then we'll do some in white. Right now I'm working on white ones. And they're very thin. Some of them are really long. Ooh, that one's really long. Too much water in my paint too. But thin is the operative word here. Thin, thin, thin. So right now I'm just working with white, and I can put one if there's not a line there. It doesn't have to be like on a line. All right, so now I'm going to add some yellow, or go to this yellow mix, I think. This thin yellow mix that I have here. And make some yellow ones. I might want a little bit more yellow in there. Make sure that's thin. A little bit too much paint on my brush here. Try not to make these like super controlled. You want them to be loose and to almost disappear at the end of them, because that's the way the sparklers are. Need more water. If it doesn't flow off of your brush when you're on the tip of your brush, the brush does not have enough water mixed in with the paint, because it should be flowing very easily. And we can come back in and add more as we build on this. So don't feel like you have to get so much done at one time, okay? I'll wash that brush out. And we're going to tap a little bit of, I'm just going to use my round brush here. I'm going to tap some white in here. This is the brightest area. And I wiped the paint off onto my paper towel, and now I'm just very gently kind of moving that paint, softening out the edges here. Okay, that's our really, really, really bright area. Okay. I want to make just a couple. Well, I think before I do that, let me look at this one and see. Yeah, I did make some white ones coming off of that really bright area right in the center. So let's do that. Let's make some white ones coming off of that center. Definitely need to thin it. And again, you can use your detail liner, your round, whatever brush works for you. This is the brightest area of it, right here in the center. Tippy toe of the brush. Tippy, tippy, tippy toe. Okay, then we'll put those little bee things on some of those with our white. It just gives us another layer on here. My paint is not wanting to stay on my brush here. Now I can never paint the same design exactly the same every time. It's just the way life works. I don't know any artist that can paint exactly like they painted any original piece. Just, you hold your brush different on, different days and everything, so it's just impossible to paint identical to yourself. Okay, we're getting some good sparkle going on there. Alright, I'm going to take my round brush with my white paint and start just adding some little dabs. Again, you can do this with your detail liner because we don't want these to be great big. I'm going to start bringing these out. Although I appear to be making them great big. We just want all these little sparkly sparkle things coming out. They're going to be really thick right next to that white in the center. And then less and less as you get out a little bit. And I'm not going all the way out to the end, but I am bringing out quite a ways. Some of these little sparkly things. You could grab some of your glitter paint and add some of that in here. That would be fun. This could be a New Year's sparkler. Could be 4th of July. I was picturing it more of a New Year's type of sparkler. I'm going to dab a little bit more back into the center. We really want that center area to be the brightest of all. And as you're painting, step back, look at it, take a photograph, look at the photograph, go hold it up in a mirror, and see if it needs anything anywhere. That is the best way to see if your color values are good, to see if your subject matter is working well together, to see if your dimensions are good. I'm going to bring some of this sparkly stuff out here. Just little dabs. Look how that just really changes that. Oh my gosh. And just work your way around. That is looking so cool. Okay, a little more dab here in the center. Make sure that's nice and bright. I'm going to touch up on my stick here, I think, because it's a little bit weird how I put that highlight on there. I'll just trim that down a little bit. And I'll put a slight little highlight maybe at the base here. Or a big little highlight. Yeah, big one. That's okay. Just paint. Come in with a little of that dark and take it down. Alright, I see I need a few more of the white little dabs in a few places. And I really want them like almost dense right here where that bright is. I've got my paint just a little bit thin, but not incredibly thin. Okay, a few more little dibby dabs, I think. And then we look at our bokeh effect around our sparkler. So I think right through here I could add a couple, and up here I could add a couple. I still feel like my sparkler needs some more. Maybe it needs this thing up here. I feel like it's missing something up here. This one. This one. Oh, that was thick. Don't want it that thick. Alright, put a little dibby dabs up through here. And then I'm going to add a couple of more little bokeh in there. And you can add more lines on there if you want. If you want even more lines, sparkle stuff coming out of there. Totally an option there. So I'm going to go into my light blue and some white. A little more white. Really work that into my brush. Find my dry paper towel, clean that off. And let's go add a few. Wipe that off a little bit more. And just a couple over here, I think. I think that looks pretty good. Now this is smaller than my other one, so it's definitely going to look a little bit different. I think we need a few little effects out here. Or a lot. I just put a lot on there. Don't need to do quite that many. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let's compare it with my original one, because I always like to compare and see how far off I got. Because sometimes I'm just never sure if I'm painting the same or not. So let me bring it in here and we'll compare it. Get my other stuff out of the way here. Wide angle out. And not too bad. They look pretty good. This is super fast project, you guys. Let me turn my palette camera off. And the sparkler. What do you think? Did you like this one? I like that it didn't have a pattern, so you guys could just go for it and have a lot of fun with it. So let me know what you think of this one. I hope you're going to paint it. You can paint it pretty much on any surface, and really you can add whatever you want to it. Like I said, this would be pretty if you made your water line right through there, and a little bit of water stuff going on here, and then this reflected into the water. The sparkler could reflect into the water too if you're close enough to the water, but I think it turned out really good. I like how this one is a little bit darker in the background up here than this one. I kept trying to get it a little darker, but it just didn't quite make the darkness that I wanted for it. So yeah, I think this one was a lot of fun. Now see how that just looks like lights way in the distance, because we're focused on this thing right here. So those lights look way back there. So next time you are watching a movie, look for those bokeh effects. It's not just lights. It can be anything that's blurred out in the background, you guys. Let me see if I can make me bigger. Make sure we don't have any questions here. So I'll put this one on top here, since that's the one that we painted, so you can still see it. And let's see if we got some questions. Jan, very pretty. I'm working on my ombre background. I have trouble from going light to dark. Okay, is it dragging or not blending well? Because if that is if that's what's happening, you need a little bit more moisture in your brush, or in your sponge. So let it dry. Then if you are like me and you spritz water on your palette, just get a little bit of water on your sponge where your paint already is. Tap that sponge on a paper towel so that it's not a lot of water standing on the surface of that sponge. Go pick up your paint and rework it onto your surface, and that should fix that problem of the ombre look not blending well together. Sometimes I have to put like a third coat on there because I don't get my blend very well. So don't give up on it. You can do it. I know you can. Rosanna, you're going to give it a try. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see what you do. Be sure and tag me on social media if you do paint this, so I can see it and share it and let everyone see how good you did. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Carol and Holly. And I enjoyed this one a lot. It was very relaxing because I didn't have to think very hard on this one. just something I've wanted to paint for almost a whole year. Was I just want to paint a sparkler with some bokeh and all that stuff, and it just seemed like I never had the time. And I'm like, well, this is the fastest project ever. I can make 30 minutes to paint this up. So I think you could take 30 minutes and paint this up, and it will be great. I just loved it. I just loved it. Linda, you tried following along. Awesome. I can't wait to see your painting. Be sure and tag me. Now you guys can, I have a, in the description underneath my video, I have all of my social media links. So you can tag me on any of those, and so I can see your painting. I have a business Facebook page, so you can really, you just need to tag Lonna Lamb and I'll find it. I'll find it. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys have done. So, if there's no more questions, I am going to let you guys go. Saw a little nice class. Thanks for doing it. You're so welcome. Thank you, Patty. I appreciate you being here. This will be on my YouTube channel, so you can watch it anytime if you decide that you want to paint it. I appreciate you guys so very much. Thank you so much for painting with me today. If you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please be sure and hit that subscribe button. Please be sure and give me a thumbs up for this live that I did today, because it really helps me here on YouTube, and I want to continue to be able to bring this stuff to you, all these paintings and stuff. So please be sure and give me a thumbs up, comment, and share. I appreciate you all so very much. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed remainder of your day, and a blessed and wonderful week this coming week. I'll see you guys all next Sunday for my live. Don't forget, grab your packet, lonnalamb.com, for Simplicity. This is what I titled this one, Simplicity. It's going to be a great one, you guys. I can't wait to paint that one with you. So I'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye-bye, everybody.